Hey guys, what is up? This is Matthew Davis, me once again. Welcome back to another double movie review, aka After I Saw. First movie I'm going to be talking about is The Green Knight. Now, The Green Knight is directed by David Lowery and has a cast of Dev Patel, I think that's what his name is, Joel Edgerton, Alicia Vikander, and it's about a man who happens to be the nephew of King Arthur, and he has to go out on this long, well, not so long, on this journey on, the Green Knight, pretty much, because that's the title, and it's an adaptation of something that I'm not very familiar with because I'm more of a movie guy than a source material guy, but you know where that's coming from. But of course, I was really excited for this movie. A24 logo, obviously going to see that. And of course, David Lowery has directed some other great films. Old Man with a Gun, Ghost Story, the remake of Pete's Dragon by Disney. And I can easily say I thought this was better than all those films, okay? I absolutely love this film, okay? It's a slow burner, and it doesn't really... Despite it being in a fantasy world, it's not really heavy on action, but more on the story perspective. And because it focuses a lot more on story and the character interactions of the main guy in the movie, then pretty much it's not going to be everybody's cup of tea. Like, it's not like Game of Thrones, the movie, or something like that. No, it's more focus on slow building, but A24 is known for that type of stuff, and I think they managed to do it so well. Despite its 2-hour runtime, I was invested throughout the whole thing, and this is easily one of the best looking films A24 has ever released, okay? It's visually stunning, the way the world looks, and the fact that they're a small company. Well, not so much small as they made so many more movies. This is easily one of their best looking films. Like, there's the CGI fox that they use, and they don't use that much CGI in their films. Like, the makeup and the costume design, the look of the Green Knight looks absolutely fantastic, and everybody else, performance-wise, they're all fantastic, and their character interactions were so believable in this. I really wanted to see what was going to happen, and it's kind of divided into multiple different parts. I mean, it's not an anthology film, but the way the main character interacts with all these characters, it's so engaging, and it leads to a grand finale I was not expecting, okay? And it's probably going to divide a lot of people. I, for one, was really satisfied with it, okay? And the score, too. The score is so engaging, and it fits the tone of the movie absolutely beautifully. And honestly, I thought this was going to be like a horror fantasy film. Like, I wasn't really expecting it to be too violent. I mean, there are head decapitations, a couple of them, but it's not really a horror film. And, but it does manage to get really tense in some parts. And it's something I wasn't really expecting that much of, but it managed to exceed my expectations on almost every single level. The Green Knight is a masterpiece on almost every single level. It's a beautiful looking film. It's engaging. The performances were all fantastic, and it's a movie that never seemed to bore me despite it being a slow burn. I mean, Hereditary is a slow burn, but that film never bored me either, and this film didn't either. It gave me exactly what I was hoping for, and it's one of my favorites of the year, and I highly recommend going to see it. Huh. 2 5 out of 5s in a row. Now we're really getting somewhere here, okay? But it's going to have to break down because my next movie, definitely not getting a perfect score to, but let's talk about it anyway. Jungle Cruise stars Emily Blunt and Dwayne Johnson, and Emily Blunt meets up with Dwayne Johnson's character Frank as they're on the hunt for like this arrowhead thing, and they're trying to keep it away from these guys. And it's based off a Disney theme park ride called, the Jungle Cruise. But of course it's adapted into a full-length feature film, and easily Emily Blunt and Dwayne Johnson make this film watchable, okay? They're great, their chemistry together is great, and they're what keep this film from being, not that fantastic. I mean, I liked the film, okay? I thought it was a fun film, and I think families will definitely have an entertaining time. Some adults, though it's PG-13, and there are some pretty violent moments, and it was actually a bit more violent than I was expecting, but hey, if it's violent and, I like seeing violence in movies, then, it was a fun time. And that's the best way I can describe it, okay? There's also, Dwayne Johnson also has a pet cheetah, and I like the cheetah in this. And the actors were good, but the villains, not so memorable, obviously. But, in terms of this, focusing more on the fun aspect and, of course, the story aspect, I mean, I like Dwayne Johnson's backstory when we get more into his character. I mean, of course, despite, you know, The Rock not having the best lineup of movies, you know, he still manages to make movies memorable. And he has some dad jokes in the movie that my dad likes to make, so of course I think he's really gonna like that aspect of the film. And but you know, Emily Blunt and Dwayne Johnson are easily what make this film watchable, and they're easily the best parts of the movie. And some of the CGI, like the CGI snakes, really didn't look all that, like believable. But you know, the backgrounds and stuff, you know, it all works for the most part, despite the snakes and stuff. Some of the CG, like the CGI man with the like with the bees, that's kind of, you know, copying Candyman a little bit, despite the fact we have Candyman coming out next month. But yeah, Emily Blunt and Dwayne Johnson are what make this film, okay? But of course, you know, the story is pretty cliched, and it focuses a lot on, you know, cliched adventure stuff, like trying to, you know, get this like treasure or something. But as a 2 hour long, you know, adventure film, you know, based off a theme park, it gets some of the stuff right, okay? It's definitely not, you know, the next big blockbuster of the year. It's not really worthy of going into that, you know, we need this to be a franchise territory like the Pirates of the Caribbean series, but it's a watchable film at best. You know, you can bring the family if they're like 10 or 12 years old, but oh no, I can say I didn't have that much of a bad time with the film. Despite my score, it's probably going to be one of those films that I'm going to watch once, unless I'm at work where I have to walk through those theaters that have the movie in them. But I could say I didn't really have a bad time with this one, okay? I'd give it a watch. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Ward out.